Today, I want to talk to you about rediscovering poitín, Ireland's OG spirit. Okay, I'll get into exactly what poitín there is in a minute, but essentially I want to highlight the lessons that I've learned from working with Irish whiskey brands and Irish cocktails and how I've applied some of those lessons into working with poitín, okay? So my background is I have a long-standing background in hospitality. Like a lot of people, I started out in hospitality and then got the hell out before hospitality killed me. But essentially in 2013, I set up Great Irish Beverages. One of my first contracts was working as a global cocktail consultant for Jameson, and that's where I picked up a huge amount of international knowledge and picked up some great valuable lessons that I want to talk about today. I've worked with dozens of Irish brands across multiple campaigns around Ireland. We have run things like the Irish Gin and Tonic Festival, the Irish Cocktail Festival, Irish Food and Drink Month, Irish Single Pot Still Whiskey Month. We've done all different types of activations and activities like that. First point I want to talk about is like what I learned from Irish whiskey, okay? One of the great things that we embraced with Jameson was local flavors, okay? So what happened was we ran a long-standing campaign called Classic with a Local Twist. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to encourage bartenders in cocktail competitions to come up with a classic cocktail with whiskey in it, but give it some local flavor. Give it a local twist with some local ingredients, some local products. And it was a brilliant way to highlight and showcase the versatility of Irish whiskey and indeed Jameson, okay? So this is something that I really encourage smaller and younger brands to get stuck into. Always embrace, but at the same time, you always have to stick to your serves as well. We're going to get back to them, but just never be afraid to embrace local flavors if you're trying to, get into other markets. So while it's great to embrace your local flavors, I can't stress this enough. You always have to stick to your signature serve, whatever it is. So in Jameson's case, and Irish whiskey's case, we all know the Jameson Ginger Ale and Lime is a major push for Jameson, okay? And it's a 20-year overnight success. So Damola talked about sticking to your guns and being consistent. 20-year overnight success with the Jameson Ginger Ale and Lime, being as popular as it is. So this was so militantly pushed. I can't stress that enough. You would go to activations, bartender events, trade events, and the only thing that you would be served is a Jameson Ginger Ale and Lime. And they really, really pushed it, and of course, in multiple platforms and lots of different areas. And I always say, if you have a brand, whatever category it is, make sure you have a signature serve that really, really works, and be very, very consistent with it, and don't mess with it. Now, the home market is very, very important, all right? This has been crucial for developing so many Irish brands in Ireland, especially around Irish whiskey, okay? So I have run nationwide on-trade festivals that have been just an amazing driver to highlight specific areas around Irish spirits. For instance, I have found that there are Irish people, for instance, are still struggling to tell the difference between single malt whiskey and single pot still. So in 2018, we did a whole campaign around that. We had hundreds of venues on board, and we did different types of serves with single pot still. And it was a great conversation starter. It was a great way to get into the media then as well, All the campaigns we do with our media drivers, and of course, they create conversations in the on and off trade. So the festivals for us really, really worked. And they absolutely can be applied then for poitín and other spirits then too. Constant media activity is always there. When I first started out, I was on radio every single week making cocktails. I had a slot with a radio DJ, and I always try and make Irish cocktails if I could, because they're trying to tell people, hey, it's cool to make these great cocktails with Irish spirits, right? Public education is very important too. People, especially these days, post-COVID, most people are buying their booze not in bars, okay? I'm sorry, don't shoot me down, okay? I know I'm at the Bar Convent Berlin, right? But at the end of the day, right, if you're not advocating and educating the public, outside of the on-trade, you are really failing. You really have to be able to get out there and show the public what to do with your spirits, in my opinion, right? Distillery and visitor centers, really, really important. Sometimes brands can barely afford the visitor centers. A lot of the time I've seen visitor centers pop up in Ireland and other countries, and they're just quirky little, one-room gift shops, but they're great fun. They're a great way to publicize your brand. Collaborations are fantastic. So this jar that you see here, that's one of my clients is Iceland 38 vodka, great vodka, won world's best vodka 2 years ago. And They did a campaign with Ballymaloe Foods for a vodka cranberry sauce there, 2 years in a row. Really, really good. Brilliant way to drive awareness. Brilliant way to great, really, really good publicity. And I always say as well, if you have a champion in your category, so if there's any kind of brand owners that are out there, if you have a champion for your category, champion for your brand, by God, make sure you really put them on a pedestal. Praise the hell out of them. Make sure you show them all the love in the world. Okay? So poitín, all right, what is it? Okay? So it's pronounced poitín, by the way. And what happened was we had a long-standing tradition of making this in Ireland. It was like a lot of spirits in different parts of Europe, for instance. Certain countries have Slivovice, and of course there's a tradition of making apple brandies here in Germany. We had something similar ourselves in Ireland. It's named after the small pot still that people would have in their homes. Some of it was semi-commercial, but most of it was just kind of homemade, and it was predominantly made with barley. Although it could and still is made with other grains and indeed even other ingredients. It can be even made with potatoes. It can be made even with apples, right? But predominantly made though with barley. And what happened was when we were still being ruled by the British, it was made illegal in 1661. But we still kept on making it anyway. So people often refer to it as the spirit of rebellion, which I think is fantastic. And we kept it going, which I think is really, really cool. But then, of course, after Ireland got its independence, we made poitín legal, thankfully, in 1997. All right? And then 2008 was given geographical protection, which is really, really cool. And essentially, we now have dozens of brands of poitín. Many of them have resurrected old school mash bills. I'm talking mash bills that are hundreds of years old, pulling them out of the attic sometimes, and we're still using kind of traditional distilling methods with it, even though sometimes it's just with really big pot stills. All right. There is an annual gathering I would recommend called Poitín Now. It's on in Dublin every year. I should check that out. And having said that, because of the fact that poitín in Ireland was illegal for so many years, there's still a lot of myths around it, and I've kind of danced with poitín here and there. I haven't really done a huge amount in terms of my client base. Most of my clients are either in, Irish whiskies or in other categories, and I haven't really done much with poitín until this year. And I started working with this brand here, Mad Marcher. It's made down in West Cork, and it's made with really, really good malted Irish barley. But so the misconceptions that I found the public had around poitín were basically, Jesus, is that not illegal? I thought that was illegal. You'd be like, no, it's been legal since 1997. And it's like, is that not made for potatoes? I was like, no, sure, we only got potatoes in Ireland in the 16th century. Sure, we're making it for hundreds of years before that, So there's all these other misconceptions as well. Like, is that not really strong? Is that not going to blow the head off me if I drink that? And I'd be like, no, it's actually around 43% for the most part, It's not going to kill you. It's not going to make you blind. The problem is we had so many years, even to this day, everyone in Ireland's got some kind of dodgy uncle that lives on their own, like an old bachelor that makes his own poitín, and they're rubbing on their knees if they get arthritis and stuff like that, like the way some Americans do with their moonshine, But there's a lot of misconceptions around. I said, okay, let's get stuck in here and try and challenge this, right? And a lot of time people say, you can't even buy that chair, and be like, no, you can buy that in all sorts of shops. You can buy even Mad Marcher in Tesco now. So I was like, let's take this on, right? Let's see what we can do to get rid of some of these urban myths and tackle on the whole category itself, right? So I created a good concept with Mad Marcher called the Poitín Party, all right? And that essentially turned into 6-7 months of doing bartender training events. We would go to really good bars where we knew we could get a nice listing and some nice cocktails. We had ticketed on-trade events, so we would just work with certain bars and do a poitín party where we would just make poitín cocktails, say 3 or 4, and I'd make them interactive. Audience would get stuck in with me. Really, really good, because that's a great way to drive more media, right? So we were creating these events to get media for the brand and, of course, for the bar and drive more awareness around the category. And then my personal favorite was we did a whole load of Irish festivals. So festivals in Ireland and the UK noticed about 15, 20 years ago that it's cool to have a drinks and food stage. You can go to even festivals like Glastonbury, and there'll be a big food stage where they'll have celebrity chefs cooking all their different types of stuff. And I've been working at these particular festivals for a long time, so I was able to get a poitín party into some of the big festivals in Ireland, the Irish equivalent of Glastonbury and as such. And what essentially that gave us then was like, hundreds of festival attendees that I got up on stage with me. I showed them how to mix poitín cocktails. We, of course, now have poitín digitally linked with all the coolest festivals that take place in the summer here or over in Ireland. And we got national media coverage out of it. So that photo there, for instance, is the Ballymaloe Festival of Food, which is a really big festival in Ireland. So that was a really good a lesson for us. And again, I don't think I ever would have come up with it had it not worked in whiskey like that before. And I mentioned category champions. It's like if you have a brand or if you have if you work with a number of brands in a particular category, if you have a champion, celebrate them, right? So this is Dave Mulligan. In Dave's case, he's the owner of 1661 Bar, which is one of the best cocktail bars in Ireland. And he also owns a brand called Bón Poitín. But he's really, like, I suppose, a real great hero for the category itself, right? So there's all sorts of reasons why we should always celebrate this fella. And he's also the creator of the Belfast coffee, right? Which has been a signature serve now for poitín itself, all right? And anytime poitín is mentioned, essentially, Dave has always threaded into it, which is fantastic, because if you have a champion in your category or for your brand, make sure you always celebrate them, right? So Dave and I had a conversation for this presentation, and we exchanged notes around the importance of having a signature serve and some of the pillars for Dave right now with Bón Poitín. And I think these are nice lessons for everyone here. The Belfast coffee, as I said, it's his signature serve for his brand, but it's also the signature serve for the 1661 bar. Like you could not go there and not have one. You have to have a Belfast coffee if you go to his boozer, And by the way, you should all bloody well go. It's great crack. Anyway, so he puts the recipe on the Bón bottle, which I think is great. I know that sounds really obvious, but a lot of people don't seem to think of that. Even a lot of gin brands don't even talk about how their perfect serve. Don't mention their perfect serve on their bottles. I think that's lunacy. I think if you're very particular about signature serve, make sure you stick to it, right? Even put it on your bottle. He puts his on his bottle, right? And then he only engages. I think this is also really good because this is a small brand now, right? He only really engages and gives top level to support to bars who use his poitín for their Belfast coffee. Creating lighthouse accounts, I think, in key regions is also a really good strategy. So, for instance, just looking at Ireland, because I just want to talk about, I suppose, how important it is for certain brands to have a good, strong presence in their native markets. He created lighthouse accounts in key cities like the Garrick in Belfast. He has Sun Tavern in London. Technically, actually, London is the poitín capital of the world. There's more poitín sold in London than there even is in Ireland, which is crazy. But a lot of that's down to Dave's great work, And then, of course, he has his own bar there in Dublin. So that's really, really important. If you want to grow your brand or your category in a particular country, what you need are lighthouse accounts, all right? Look, and then at the end of the day, the ultimate prize is to instill national pride through category awareness and for your own citizens to be natural advocates. So that's really what Irish whiskey has done, you see, and very successful Irish brands in other areas have also done that. Every single Irish person is absolutely passionate about Guinness. They're absolutely passionate about Kerrygold butter. They will insist on having Kerrygold no matter what country they're in. They think that every other butter is muck. That's literally the term we would use. And of course, they're also now extremely passionate about Irish whiskey. Everyone's got their favorite Irish whiskey. So, I guess the long-term goal for me and my clients working with poitín is to install that same level of national pride and indeed awareness. And, when Dave and I spoke about, the importance of the signature serve, talking about it here, like, his ultimate goal with Bón Poitín, and as I'm sure it is with some of the categories and spirits that you have, is essentially to have the Belfast coffee to be as well recognized for poitín as, say, the Pisco Sour is for Pisco, or indeed that the Caipirinha is for Cachaça. All right?
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up with the latest beverage alcohol industry insights from Park Street University.